turn it over to you guys.
I need to make a hard stop at 9:15, and I believe Curtis and Debbie will probably still be on the call. So, um, great topic today on leadership, right? Um, when we think about leadership, we think about all right, a position, right? So, does everybody know exactly what a real definition of a leader is, and what's your misconception of a leader? So, the misconception of a leader is someone who's in charge of us, right? But we're all in charge of our own destiny and our own fate and our own legacy. So nobody is born you always hear that natural born leader. No, no, they're not a natural born leader. It's leadership is developed skills over time, accomplishing goals and helping others accomplish goals. Every single one of us are leading every single day. You know, we all have lollipops, and we're going to talk about. I'll let Curtis dig into the lollipops, but it'll make sense to you after you see what we got for you. But everyone has lollipop moments, and those lollipop moments are sweet, right? So that's what leadership is, you know, accomplishing a goal. So I'm going to read a few little things here for you. And Curtis, thanks for putting this stuff together. And really, Curtis is the one that put this stuff together for us this morning. So you guys are aware of that. We do a lot of stuff together, Curtis, Debbie, DJ, and I, and we kind of look at things. And but he's really put a lot of great things together for us. Here's the thing about leadership that a lot of people either don't understand or refuse to believe. Everyone can be a leader. There is no single answer. What is leadership? Because it isn't something you're either born with or without, but a powerful skill that can be developed over time. Great leaders don't follow a single path or personality type. In fact, you've probably taken on leadership roles in your life that you didn't even realize at the time. So what makes a good leader? And how can you sharpen those skills and put them to work for you in your career and in your life? You know, leadership is the ability to inspire a team, inspire yourself, inspire your family. You know, when you're working with buyers or sellers, you're inspiring them to work with you. It's usually discussed in the context of business, but leadership is how you as an individual choose to lead your life. You know, the definition of leadership is to influence, inspire, and help others become their best selves, building their skills and achieving goals along the way. You don't have to be a CEO or a manager or a team leader to lead anyone or anything. Leadership is a set of skills and certain psychology that anyone can master. The thing is, sometimes, and I was talking to Curtis this morning, sometimes we don't feel worthy to lead. And I hope you don't mind if I share a little story. Curtis, is it in line for this to share what I shared with you this morning? All right. So when I was asked to be the next team leader of a Keller Williams office in 2010, I said, no, don't talk to me again about it. I'm not a leader. In 2011, hey, Tom, would you interview for the team leader? No, don't talk to me about it. I'm not a leader. Hey, Tom, I'm like, will you stop talking to me about this? And then this one person said to me, and he pointed in my chest, and he was a lot shorter than me, a lot older than me, I'm more out of shape. So he couldn't control me if I wanted to get out of that position. But I seen in his eyes, there was some meaning behind it. And he said, if you don't look at this opportunity to develop the best version of yourself, you're a complete idiot. And I was like, all right, I'll listen to you, but I'm not interested. Okay. So I went through the whole process and I became the team leader for an office that I felt I wasn't worthy to do. Okay. So I personally felt like I wasn't the right leader or a leader because of my own either insecurities, not feeling worthy of, have I really earned anything? I never earned anything. See, sometimes leadership is a role someone's hired into, but they need to earn the right to lead by leading by example and helping others fulfill a goal. So when I went into that leadership role, I'm like, holy cow, my whole life what a transformation in my entire life. And not only mine, but the lives of others. And I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth as a leader. I want to tell you that right now. I lived in more homes than most of you have even sold top leaders, top salespeople. We've lived in a lot of homes. If we made it past 18 months, we were doing good. And then we were evicted because we couldn't pay the rent. And then it was the next home, and then next and next. And so natural born leader, no. Someone who's willing to do the work. They find people who are the best at different things. Yeah, I love that, Robert. So are you going to be the best leader in every area? Probably not, but we find the right people for that as leverage, right? So leadership is the importance of the leadership, in short, lies in the ability to get things done. See, we always look at the leader to go, hey, when are you going to get this done? But why not take responsibility and get it done yourself? Leadership allows you to communicate a clear vision and then unite your team. See, the way EXP is designed, it's designed for 1 million leaders. The thing is, you guys have an organization that you're part of that has leaders. And we're going to start sharing more of that with you on how to be a better leader for yourself. What are some of the things you should be reading, some things you should be talking about? And maybe after today's call, you're going to go, holy cow, I am a leader. I'm a leader in my business. So many people will call me and go, what do I do? And I don't know who to turn to. I'm like, well, have you turned to your resources? Because leaders think about what is the most important thing I need to do to accomplish this goal, and what are my resources? How do I get there? Take the responsibility into your own hands and you will get through it. And by the way, we don't need validation on what we know is right. So often I'll get a call and go, hey, so-and-so said, this is what I should do. And I said, what do you think? Well, I knew that before I called them. I said, so why are you calling me? I'm not going to validate anything for you because you already know what you need to do. Leaders don't ask for validation. Leaders make a decision, they move forward, and they get it done. And by the way, guess what happens if they fail? I see Claire talking. She's either talking to me or Deep, because they're right here, side by side, and they're both. So leaders fail often. But what happens is the leader falls and learns from what they fell, how they fell, and they get back up and they make it right and they make it better. Leaders recognize their flaws. Leaders are the first one to come and apologize for a mistake that they made and said, we're going to make it better. So often in our business, we're looking for too much validation. It's a set of skills that you can learn. Are you getting enrolled in leadership? Are you reading, first of all, are you reading leadership books? And if you don't know what kind of books to read, you got several of us on this call that are going to go drown you in books. And then we always go, what makes a good leader? Well, let's think about that for a second. Why do some sports teams year in, year out, always at the top? Except for those birds that fly randomly. No, oh, sorry, Liz. There's leadership, not just in the coaches, but in the players. Tom Brady once said to his players, if you're not here to win, get out and go home and go somewhere else. If you're not here to win, go home and go somewhere else. That's a leader. A leader will stand up and tell you the truth when you don't want to hear it. Or a leader will tell you the truth, and you think because you got so much finances, you don't have to listen. Well, talent is overrated, and so is the financial wealth that you have overrated, because you don't have a thermostat high enough to maintain that level. You need to develop your leadership skills. And what makes a good leader is leading by example. I have a good friend in our group, and I consider him a really, really close friend. He's one of the most inspirational leaders in our group that I feel, to me, right? I don't think he looks at himself as a leader. I think he looks at himself he's always calling for validation. He's always calling for support on something he's already mastered. Matter of fact, he's always calling me for stuff that he's better at than I am. Validation. See, what happens is we always fall back into this hole where our past, our unworthiness, or those thoughts, or comparing ourselves to others, right? Debbie and Curtis will be huge on that. We always look to compare ourselves to others, and that was a big thing through Bold, is don't compare your insides to other people's outsides, whatever it is, right? So we always try to compare. We look for validation. Well, here's what I say. Do you call deep and say, or me, and go, hey, my child skipped school today, what do I do? No, you know what to do because you're a leader in your home with your children. And you master that through experience of having them, right? You can learn how to speak to them. You can learn how to work through it with them, right? So leadership skills and mastering leadership is highly important, because people are coming to you to lead them into buying a home, selling a home, leading your business, leading your home, leading people around you. And that's what leadership is. How do you get someone from here to here without carrying them? I ain't carrying anyone. Right? So leadership is not constantly asking for validation. Leadership is, I got this. I'm confident. My skill set is there because I've developed it over the years. I'm a great speaker. I go to a lot of speaking class. I've never been to a speaking class, and still to this day, I get up on, before I walk into a room, sometimes I say, am I even worthy enough to deliver this message? So then I go back and go, I know this material so inside and out. There's no one that can challenge me on it. Boom, I go in with confidence. So I don't call for validation. Hey, how should I present this? I don't go, hey, what did you think about the presentation? I want to know feedback, but honestly, I'm not changing anything about it. Sometimes there'll be a slip up and I'll change that. I might say something bad or negative, or I usually won't cuss at all, but if something slipped out, I'll apologize. But I usually, you'll never hear, well, you probably will, maybe not. But leading others is important. Speaking is leadership. Teaching is a leadership, right? So Curtis, I've dug in for about, he's like, what? You set me up here. So Curtis and Debbie both, as we talk about the leadership today and why we felt that talking about leadership is so important on our calls, is we're always constantly going, hey, coaching, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, right? Why is leadership so important in this call for business and for themselves and for whatever they're looking to grow in a team?
Did you just ask a question, Tom?
I did.
Okay, perfect. So I'm only going to talk for like a second, then we'll turn it over to Deb, Claire, Deep. I want to hear from others, but you know, such an important, incredible topic, which is why we brought this up. And I'm excited, you know, that we are going to talk about it today. And of course, continue that conversation next week. There's such a tremendous, in my personal opinion, lack of leadership in the world today, and which is why I think it's an important topic amongst this group. You know, I know, you know, listen, I've tried, I've failed, I've been stuck in different roles and so on and so forth. And I had not had it figured out. And I have had the opportunity to be a great leader. And what I learned, which was most important, was that leaders develop other leaders. And so here we are on this Zoom, not a phone, but a Zoom, and we have 60 people. And my goal is to help develop other leaders, not calling anyone out and saying that they're not a leader already. And yet my goal is to have 60 leaders around me and to continue to develop my skills as well as those around me, because leadership is so much more than, as Tom said, a title. It's about the way we conduct ourselves. It's about the influence in others, which is obviously a big topic being at EXP, influence, how are we influencing, and so on and so forth. So anyway, important topic today because there's such a lack of leadership in the world, and just something we want to keep continuing to pour into, because many of you, you know, while you might be individuals, some of you are looking and setting forth to either grow a team, or perhaps you have a team, and then what does that look like even beyond? And as we develop our leadership skills, that will, of course, help facilitate us in our businesses, or in our teams, and so on and so forth, and perhaps even influence as far as then the ability to recruit and attract others to the organization, because I just want to be around other leaders. So, Deb, what were your thoughts? DJ, Claire?
Yeah, thanks, Curtis. Just like, you know, DJ, I'm going to speak for you, but Curtis, Tom, me, when we had the opportunity to become team leaders, none of us felt worthy. None of us felt like, I can remember saying to my family, if they're dumb enough to hire me, I'm going to be dumb enough to say yes. Because they obviously believe that I have potential. And that's actually what they saw, right? And the beautiful opportunity of being a Keller Williams team leader was they dumped us into leadership training, right? They taught us leadership, and every day we got to learn it. There's a belief that in the world that every single one of us is a leader. And here's what I mean by that. Psychologically, all of us look to everyone in our world for cues on what to do and how to behave, which means everyone we know is looking at us for what to do and how to behave. And we're looking at them at what to do and how to behave. But if people are looking to us at what to do and how to behave, that means we're a leader, whether we know it or not. And I resisted that label. Now, behind closed doors, you know, if Tom, DJ, and Curtis and I were all still team leaders, behind closed doors, we would remark that the agents all struggle with leadership, but none of them know the value that if they leaned into leadership and leaned in to learn it. I didn't learn it. Nobody taught it to me until I became a team leader. Did I have natural leadership skills and abilities that I brought with me and I learned unconsciously throughout my life? Yes, but I didn't become a student of leadership until I got the role. And what we all realized as we traversed our leadership journey was that, wow, if people embraced leadership and learning it earlier, their lives would be so much easier. Single agents would have an easier career if they embraced leadership. They strategically learned leadership skills. They went to leadership opportunities. They surrounded themselves. They made it their business to become a better leader. And when people started teams, we always kind of chuckled, unfortunately, that the last thing that the Rainmaker learned was leaderships, because teams start and collapse, start and collapse, start and collapse. And that's actually not a bad thing. That's the way leaders learn, is they do something, it doesn't work out. They go, that didn't work. How can I do it better? There's nothing wrong with a team starting and collapsing, because that is the way success happens. However, when we would, as a leader in a market center, say, hey, we have this leadership thing coming up, it was pulling teeth. Nobody wanted to go. We had to drag people to leadership events, how to be a better leader. We had to drag them. Everybody would go to agent things, for sale by owner things, how to do better social media. People would sign up for that all the time. And yet we recognize, because we grew as leaders, that if people would lead into leadership first, their whole business became easier. Just think about a transaction. You've got a wonky agent on the other side of the transaction. 50% of the time, 60% of the time, that other agent. Well, when you grow your leadership skills, that other agent becomes easier to manage, because you understand how to be a leader and how to bring out the best in others. I can honestly say, for the last 10 years, since I stepped out of the team leader role, the few 3, 4 transactions I do a year, I never have a problem with the agent on the other side of the transaction, because I've developed my leadership skills. I see warning signs early. I address them early. I get them to buy into our partnership. And I'm also relentless. If someone doesn't respond to me, I'll text them and say, look, I know you're busy. Let's at least between each other, let's just make a promise that we're going to keep our line of communication open. And I get better behavior instantaneously. So it really is something that none of us really think about as a pathway of learning. And yet we all have recognized, because we traverse the path, that if agents embrace leadership as a core component of their business would get immensely easier. They would attract leaders to them. It's just something that we think, leadership, yeah, but it's such a critical component to business success. And the earlier you embrace it, the faster your business grows.
Yeah. Debbie, thank you. This is a book. I got tons of leadership books that I've read over the years, and I go back and reread. That one that Claire has right there is what changed my life for leadership, because the first level is a designated leadership position that you haven't earned the right to lead. Now, here's the thing I want to say. Most of us look at highly successful teams. Most of us will look at highly successful people and go, holy cow, I don't know how they do it. I'm going to tell you how they did it. They developed the leadership within themselves. And then once they develop the leader in themselves and become a better version of it, you go, good leaders ask great questions, diagnosing, right? So once you do self-development, and you start developing the leader in you, you cannot lead anyone if you're not leading yourself and developing yourself. So if you're trying to develop a team and you are not confident in being a leader to them, you got to be confident in being able to lead yourself. And then when you lead yourself, you can lead others. It's not about telling people what to do. It's about influencing others and becoming that person where they say, hey, if I do the things that Liz does, I'm going to be highly successful. And she doesn't even have to tell me what to do. I'm just in her world. See, that's what proximity is, power. And that's why we surround ourselves around the top people that we want to be like.
Hey, Tom, what's the name of that book again?
Oh, developing the leader within you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I put it in the chat.
Tom, can I jump in there a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I've learned about great leaders is that it isn't about them.
No.
They're kind and they're generous and they take responsibility. Often when it's not their fault, they take responsibility. And, I think there's a fear factor there for people. It's like, I don't want to be responsible for these people. I don't want to be responsible for making sure that everything's right. And, once you step into that role and you believe that when you let enough people help enough people get what they want, then you are becoming a leader. The other part of that is you get what you want, but it is also that step to becoming a leader is knowing that, your job is to be kind and respectful and helpful and to help them grow. And it's not about us. It's not about me. It's about what can I do to help you. And just throw that in there. There's that component of leadership as well.
Yeah. Jamal made a post, and this is so true. And I absolutely love when Jamal fills in and jumps in, because him being a leader in the military and recruiter and all that there, knowing those you lead, right? You got to know your people. You got to be invested in them, because if you don't know them, you're basically telling them you don't care about them, right? You got to be genuine. You got to be competent. You got to be confident, but be willing to adapt and change quickly. You got to be able to pivot. And right now, you better start pivoting faster, because if you already haven't pivoted, you better start pivoting quickly. Make a quick change. I'm telling you, the market is changing. It's already changed. And if you want your fair share, you better change with it or join a team. Because that right there is, I see too many people struggling because they go, what do I do? How do I get business? Where do I go? I don't know. Right? Get on these calls, take action. I can't do it for you. Well, that doesn't work. Have you tried it? Yeah, I made one call and listen. It's be humble, have humility, but do the work. Get dirty. When I ran restaurants and stuff like that, and I went to the bathroom and there was paper towels on the floor, I wasn't above anyone as the manager. I got down, I wiped the sink, I picked the stuff up off the floor, and whatever I had to do. So leaders are not above anyone. Leaders put themselves as to the level of others. So I'm going to leave it at that. Liz, go ahead.
And just to piggyback off what you said, Tom, I think a lot of people, what they feel about leadership is they think that it's being told like, hey, I'm going to tell you what to do. But really and truthfully, it's I'm willing to get down and dirty and get down and do it with you. So I would never tell somebody to do something that I wouldn't do with you. So it's like, let's go door knock. We're going to do this together. Let's do it in the freaking rain, because we're going to do this, because I don't care. Like you said, I don't care if I have to go clean the bathroom with you. I'm not above you. I'm right in the trenches with you. And I think when you change that mindset, you excel at a whole nother level.
Yeah, 100%. And Liz, so you are leading by example. Liz is a perfect example. Look at her. She comes from working on a team where she thought she had great leadership, right? But the leadership wasn't leading her. The leadership was telling her what to do for their own personal growth. She comes over here and she gets on our calls. She starts doing the work. She's got great direction through Claire. She's communicates with Claire, gets coaching with Claire. And look at what's happened in 18 months for Liz. While others are trying to figure out what they can do to maintain their success, Liz is thriving. Right, Desiree? She does the work with her, right? With you, right? And that is a leader. That's a leader. Keith.
Yeah, and let me see. I want to see if I'm on mute here. Can you
You're
guys
good.
hear me, or am I?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. I'm driving, so I'm a little confused. And the thing I'd like to add about that with Liz is her humbleness, right? I've been sitting here listening, and I wanted to make the point that leaders need to be humble. When Curtis was saying there's no leadership, it's because the people who are in leadership positions are so damn arrogant now, and they're all about their ego and their narcissism. A real leader is humble, and so Liz has done just a fantastic job. You tell her something nice and she almost starts crying because she's so darn humble. But yet she's just an amazing leader by example, and willing to help anyone. And that's the leaders we have in this group. But I think the leader is humble, and like you said, gets to know his people or her people and everything. But people can see that. If you're arrogant, they don't want to follow you. Like if I tell you what to do for 8 hours a day because I'm smarter than you, I'm not going to follow. Nobody wants to follow that. So I just want to keep in mind the humbleness, and the people notice when, if you just lead by example, people notice that. So that's my 2 cents for a Friday morning.
and approachable. I love that Carol put that. That's one thing. A lot of the great leaders that I have ever been able to surround myself around, they're extremely approachable. Approachable. Love that. Maggie. Oh, I don't know what happened. She went away.
In that same vein of being approachable, everything changed for me when Curtis became my coach. And one of the things that Curtis does really well is he's very responsive. And no matter what question I have or doubt that's coming up, I think that being seen by someone who might have been a TL or in a position of power, whatever before, it's like you're willing, yeah, like you said, willing to get down and dirty with you. But also, yeah, like it's made all the difference for me working with a coach who, you know, I really feel like he's invested in my success, even though I'm not in his downline. And I've really found those types of leaders at EXP that I did not see at other brokerages, where the people who are operating at the highest level, they want to help. And that's really cool. And so, yeah, I've gotten to know other EXP leaders, and so many are willing to jump on the phone or wrap it out or say, this is what I learned. But yeah, Curtis, I think your responsiveness and, you know, your terms of endearment, like calling me Ace, that really helps. So
Maggie, thank you. And you weren't prompted for that. I want to thank you for that. You know, when my daughter was ill in the hospital, you know, I got gifts to my daughter, by the way. These were to my daughter. And it wasn't just like flowers or anything like that. It was actually some inspirational quotes on a board. She goes, I wanted to share these with you, with Peyton, because these are what helped me carry through my life challenges of cancer and everything else, right? So she shared her inspirational quotes with her. That was my coach, by the way, guys. So your coach has to really care about you too, because your success is important. It's not what you compensate your coach, it's what your coach invests in you and gets to know you, because that's a coach. You know, anybody can collect a fee for advice. That's not a coach at all. So awesome.
Hey, Tom. So thank you guys. Thank you, Maggie, and thank everybody for the feedback. I think it's awesome. By the way, so Tom mentioned a little bit early, he said something about lollipop moments. And I don't know about you, but I'm like, what in the heck is he talking about? So I wanted to leave you guys all with something. So I got a little 4-minute video to show you, and I trust that you guys all watch it. And I want to hear what maybe your takeaways are from it, because I thought it to be powerful yesterday. And it was pretty cool. And it does talk about that thing Tom just talked about, which is lollipop moments. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway, hopefully I get
Leaving
this
the suspense for him.
Huh?
Just leaving some suspense for him.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to play it real quick. All right.
How many of you in this room, by show of hands, have what I would call a lollipop moment? That is a moment where someone has come up to you unexpectedly and made you feel like you have mattered, you do matter, or you will matter in this world. How many of you, by show of hands, have one of those moments? Amazing. How many of you just raised your hand, have told the person who created it that they created it for you? It's like a third. See, I don't get that. We live in a world where we celebrate birthdays, where all you have to do is not die for 365 days. You get a party and you get a cake, you get cards, and yet we let people walk around who have made our lives better, who have made our careers better, and we don't tell them that. If you get nothing else from me today, please tell the people who have made your lives better and your careers better that they have done so. Because you know what? Leadership recognized is leadership created. And we keep talking about how are we going to create more leadership? How are we going to develop more leadership? Start with this. Recognize the stuff that's around us every day. On your way out, there are lollipops, just like this one. They're delicious because I had 3 last night, okay? My trainer, not happy. Find one. If there is someone in this room who has created a lollipop moment for you, if there is someone in this room for whom you wish to create one of those moments, who's made your life, your career, anything better, make sure you tell them. If they're not here, get on the phone, text them, tell them that. Leadership recognized is leadership created. Here's the thing. Every one of you create lollipop moments every day in the work that you do. And if you think you don't, think of all the hands that didn't go back up. You are just one of the many, many people who, for whatever reason, have not yet been told. But I recognize it can be scary to think that we're that powerful. Like, it's almost frightening to believe that we can have that kind of impact on other human beings when we're not paying attention. Because as long as we keep leadership something bigger than us, as long as we keep leadership something beyond us, as long as we keep it about changing the world, what we are doing is we are giving ourselves an excuse to not expect it from ourselves and from each other every day. We're lowering the bar to make it easier. But look, I get how it's scary. I think Marianne Williamson captured that fear perfectly in a poem that maybe it's overquoted. I don't care, I'm doing it anyway. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us. You know why your light is frightening? Because when you shine it, and when you recognize it, when you see what it can do, every night that you don't, after that, you know you've left something on the table. So showing your light, showing your leadership creates an obligation. And life is hard enough with work and with school and with all of your family obligations to add one more obligation. But you know what? Leaders accept that obligation. We chase that obligation. We embrace that obligation. I think it's time to redefine leadership. I think it's time we make it about lollipop moments. How many of you create? How many you pay forward? How many you say thank you for? And how many you empower other people to create for themselves? All right? Because somewhere along the way we made leadership about changing the world. There is no world. There's just 7 billion understandings of it. And that means every time you change one person's understanding of the world, one person's understanding of how many people care about them, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, and more importantly, how powerful an agent for change they can be in their own life. Every time you change one person's understanding of the world, you change the whole world. It's not beneath any of us. It's not beyond any of us. You do it every day. Embrace it. Recognize it. We cannot expect our children, our clients, the people we care about the most to embrace a word we're not willing to embrace for ourselves. Because I think if we embrace leadership like that, if we teach leadership like that, I think we could change everything. And I think it's a simple idea, but it doesn't mean that it's a small one.
Golfers, I have a question for you.
Anybody have any thoughts on that? Anybody have a lollipop moment?
Leadership recognized is leadership created. That's good stuff, Curtis. Huh? Yeah, that dude was on point. So, Tom, something I read yesterday, and I'll be quick. Can I read it real quick? It's just one passage.
Yeah.
I think that some of us struggle with imposter syndrome, right? Like, are we good enough? Do we know enough? How we compare, like you said, to other people. I think that part of that is that you look at other people and you think about that they were given talents or they were gifted with talents, and they were, but talent will only get you so far, right? So is talent ever enough? Yes, but only in the very beginning. Novelist Charles Wilson says, no matter the size of the bottle, the cream always rises to the top. Talent stands out, it gets you noticed in the beginning. Talent separates you from the rest of the pack, gives you a head start on others. For that reason, talent is one of life's greatest gifts, but the advantage it gives lasts only a short time. Songwriter Irving Berling understood this truth when he said the toughest thing about success is that you've got to keep on being a success. Talent is only a starting point in business. You've got to keep working that talent. So, I don't know, it just means that if you time on task over time, you do the work, you know what I mean? Talent will get you out front, but it won't necessarily keep you there. If you do the work, you'll get there yourself. So, that was good stuff, Curtis. Thank you.
That was good, Steve. Thanks for sharing. I send Steve stuff all the time too.
Yes, you do, sir. And I appreciate you for that.
Anyone else?
I'm guessing that was the lollipop moment, right, Tom? Steve just gave you an appreciation. I appreciate you too. And I appreciate Steve. I appreciate all the leaders here that are here every day to give us all the information we need. All right.
Fantastic.
That's my lollipop moment to all of you.
Thank you. Good talking to you the other day, Tony.
Oh, same here, brother.
Tom, I got some lollipops for you. They're in the back of the truck. Just don't let your wife know that I gave them to you, okay?
Listen, she knows I'm a
Thank you,
sweet
sir.
tooth. So, yeah. I'll eat anything that has sugar in it.
Ice
So
cream.
I guess my question is, so what are we gonna do with that information, right? So we get inspired on here. I get inspired. I take notes. I'm thinking next time I go to an event, I'm gonna bring a packet of lollipops and I'm gonna hand them out. And I'm just gonna, instead of business cards, I'm just gonna hand out lollipops and say, I don't know you, but I'm sure you make an impact on the people's world around you. This is a thank you from all of them, right? But so the question is, what are you gonna do? So we talked about leadership today. What's an action plan, right? Because it's wonderful to come on these calls and take in this information. And certainly inspiration is needed. I need to be inspired. Once a week, I come on here and I get inspired. I need inspiration every day. And certainly inspiration alone is a reason to be on this call. And yet to really make the most of it, what's one thing that you're going to do with the information you learned today? And it doesn't have to be, I'm going to go to leadership school. And it could be, I'm going to buy a leadership book. I'm going to call 3 people today and give them a lollipop. Like, what's an action step? Because when you take action around what you learn, it internalizes in your brain and it becomes a part of who you are. So a year from now, you might not remember this call, but if you take an action after this call, you're going to internalize something of what you learned and it becomes part of your being. It becomes part of who you are. So I'm just thinking for myself, okay, Deb, great, inspiring call. You got goosebumps, you cried. What are you going to do that's going to help imprint what you learned today? And just write it down, not asking you to share. You can share if you want, but write down one action step around leadership that you're going to commit to take. I'm going to say today, like, what can you do today to imprint this training into your brain so that it becomes a part of who you are?
Hey, Deb, Steph's got her hand up. Steph?
Well, actually, I guess it ties right into Coach Debbie, what she's saying, because I wrote down, and I think these were her words. She says, we don't need validation on what we know is right. I don't know if it was her or was it you, Coach Debbie, or was it Tom? Was Coach Tom? Someone said it. I think it was Tom. But that right there is just basically, it gives me the confidence that on where I need to go as far as to make the right moves and the right decisions and the right recommendations for my clients. And it's, sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need a little encouragement to say, okay, I know this is the right thing to do. So let's go in this direction. And we waver a lot, and on this call, I got to realize that I wrote this down to, we traverse the path. You said that, Coach Debbie. We traverse the path. So again, we have to find solutions and everything. And that everything has just always given me the inspiration and the motivation to go with what I know is right. So yeah, it just helps me to go more confidently in the right direction. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Steph. And what's interesting is those that have.
Bring in that last.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Claire. Real quick, thank you, Deb, for bringing that up at the very end. What is the one thing that you'll take action on? Will you order one of the leadership books through great leaders, Simon Sinek? There's great leaders. Ken Blanchard writes great books on a lot of different areas. John Maxwell, Tony Robbins. I mean, these are all phenomenal leaders. What will you take action on? you know? I think that's, will you go read some leadership articles? What will you do today, right now, to take action to put that in place for you? Because once we learn the developing the leadership in you, it'll take you to where you've never been.
Go ahead, Lizette.
Okay, hey. No, I just wanted to say that I'm super grateful that over the last year since I was like 18, I'm super grateful because there's leaders typically they don't look at your circumstances. They will look at you as a person and say, I believe you can do this and I believe you can overcome. And those people all across my life, I'm super grateful because they didn't look at my age. They didn't look at my circumstance. They didn't look at all the kids I had. They didn't look at they're like, no, you can do this, and push me through it and say, no, what are you doing? And it's important to say that because sometimes in leadership, we're afraid to call people out because they have all these no, push them against all the odds, because sometimes that's what they need. Actually, sometimes they're seeking it. I seek it, right? So there's people around you that are, and that's the other part, right? We also have to understand that there is an irresponsibility in not taking action in our leadership. There's an irresponsibility when we don't take action because there are a lot of people around us that are waiting for us to lead. And by us not taking action, we are pretty much being a disservice to the world. That was my 2 cents. Things. Sorry for the video. You don't want to see me right now.
You're in our prayers for quick recovery, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for your mic drop and nuggets as always.
Claire, what I want to say is you don't have to go out and buy a book if you don't want to. It's not that, it's easy. Go online, pull down some articles, pull down some people that you want to listen to and watch and hear what they have to say. You can do that when you hang up here. Go online and find a leadership article. I find it really nice to read one every day or two, just to read something different, somebody else's viewpoint. So, don't wait till you get a book. Go on and listen or read right now.
DJ, I'm so glad you brought that up. It was really interesting. I am not a strong reader. However, I listened to another leader who gave me his tips on how to allow Audible to work for me, not against me, at ×2 speed. And I kid you not, every flight, every car ride, my car instantly goes to the book that I am listening to and reading at that time. And it so helped because I was thinking, what is wrong with me? I can't read all these books like these awesome leaders around me. And I was pulled aside by one of our leaders, Ben Kinney. And he was like, Claire, this is how you do it. And I was like, thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. And it was awesome. Whereas you will see those little lollipop moments. And I appreciate that even though my strength is not sitting down and reading a book, the content of the book still gets within me because I was not going to quit in where I knew I needed to be. My coaches, my mentors, and the people around me. And this is what's interesting on everybody who is on this call, even on your cute little pictures that you're showing because you don't have your camera on. Each one of y'all have the seeds of greatness that were planted within you from the very beginning, no matter what. Liz hears me all the time say this. If you do not understand that you are a leader in some aspect of your life, put a mirror in front of your face and blow really hard. You are breathing. You are offering to this world, to the people around you, and you are worth it. You are worth it for these skills to help you becoming a leader, being a leader, training a leader, and raising other leaders. No matter what the aspect is. We are all business owners, and really we have a responsibility to be leaders. We're running a business. So as part of our business structure and our personal developments or our business plans per year. You know, it's just one of those things that Tom and Curtis and Debbie and DJ, all of us want each of your businesses, each of your lives to be impacted. And we understand completely that one of the number one ways that that can happen is honing our leadership skills, perfecting them, subtle corrections in them. And we encourage you. I mean, there's not one person on this call that's a slack ass. Sorry. You showed up, whether you got your camera on or not, I don't care. We're not here to validate you. We're here to encourage you. You know, I don't co-sign other people's BS. It's just not going to happen. Liz will tell you in a heartbeat. I'll be like, what the hell are you thinking? You know, and then in other times I was like, well, what do you really think about that? You know, as coaches and as mentors and as leaders, we do more asking questions and listening and helping someone else self-aware. That's where Tom was talking about failing forward. You know, so I feel that that's an important part of, as we grow as a person, as we grow as a business, that's where we go. We got to fail forward and keep on going.
Tech Bits, Robert. You there?
Good morning, and Claire, you hit on an area that I wanted to say something about. There are lots of leaders here, whether we, and I'm one, I don't like the title, and we all know that. But we're here to build businesses and build other agents. And the best thing I think a leader can do sometimes is to take a step back and let others step forward. We have been developing them, but they are ready to see what they can do, and we're there to support them. But if we're going to build really great leaders, we've got to see what they're capable of, so we can learn from them. That's what I've learned over my time.
Thank you, Robert.
Robert, what you just said was exactly what the 5 levels of leadership talks about as well, right? You know, we get a position as a leader, we develop leaders, and we let them go to develop other leaders, right? So if you don't help develop and lead others, you'll always be there to push them, to answer for them for validation. Sometimes you just got to say, do it yourself and tell me how it goes. Oh my gosh, it went amazing. Fantastic. I knew it would, because you're great. Right? So.
And I think as leaders, sometimes it can take a lot out of us. We put the pressure on ourselves, and we need sometimes to take a step back, to relax, to take a breather, to refocus, and then we can move forward with our energy to help them move forward themselves. So thank you everyone for this call. This has been a great call for me today.
Anyone else have any comments or anything to say? We got like 3 minutes. Bueller. Some of y'all don't know that movie.
Go out and be nice to somebody today. Make a lollipop moment for somebody else today. Make that your action plan for today. Okay.
Love it. Thank you, DJ. With that in mind, I don't know where Tiffany is. She wants to cut it short and y'all start your after party. Have at it. Tiffany.
She's not
on. She made me host, so I've got to figure out how to do all this.
Claire,
Sorry.
you start the after party.